First item up is consider additions or adjustments to the agenda. Currently, there are 4. One is accepting a resignation letter from a select board member. The other is scheduling a special meeting to interview and appoint candidates to a vacancy. The other is to adopt a resolution designating an authorized signatory for the MVRC grant, and the other is a liquor license renewal, which Rosemary would like us to take up quickly. So I will probably move, believe it or not, all 4 of those right to the beginning of the work session items, because they should be quick. Are there any other additions or adjustments to the agenda? Hearing none. Next up is review invoices and orders. I believe those are being passed around. I haven't heard any questions. Next item up is public comment. Is there any comment from the public?
Yes.
Okay, can you introduce yourself just for the?
My name is David Smith. I live on Gould Hill. And I want to inform you of an incident that happened up there today between the manager, the road crew, and the sheriff's department, myself. It has to do with your digging and your trenching. You're doing that up there. There are some places that the trenches probably don't need to be as deep because of the way property lines, people are mowing their lawns up to the edge of the road and everything is fine. Now we've got big ditches. My property in particular, when I spoke to the person on the grader this morning, told me that the ditch that he had dug from my neighbor's property, the water would come down and dump into an area on the side of my driveway, which in the past has always been an area where water was filled in and drained out. Well, somehow they decided they needed to dig a trench across my driveway. So now I have a trench across my driveway and I'm not sure where the water is supposed to go through. So now I have damage to my driveway. And when I spoke to the officer, manager here and the road crew, there was a mention about the grade of the road, the crown. And I was asked if I knew what the crown would be. And I said, I don't have that knowledge or that expertise. And then I was told that between this gentleman and the road commissioner that they had more knowledge than I did. And basically, I asked them if they were calling me stupid because I didn't know what I was talking about. And I don't appreciate being treated like that, for one, as a taxpayer. And I don't know why, when this digging and trenching was done, people weren't notified of it. And there are places there on that road where people are keeping their lawns clean right up to the road, nice and beautiful. Now they've got a 4-foot ditch out in front. I don't know where the water was before. It was running down the road fine. Right now, I'm not real sure if it is going to wash out my driveway. I asked this gentleman if it did, would they be willing to come up at 3 o'clock in the morning to fill it in if I have to have a medical emergency? Doctor, fire, ambulance can't get into my driveway because I have a ditch looking. I don't like being treated like that. And I don't know why your people can't at least come and talk to the landowners and try to figure out what's being done and come up maybe with a compromise or an understanding what's going on, not after it's done.
Okay. Thank you for bringing this to us. I don't have much direct knowledge of it, but
I know you don't.
is there?
I have photos. I'm sure that this gentleman maybe took photos after. I don't know.
A lot of the ditching regulations I know are handy.
I understand there's 25 feet in the road. I understand that. But here again, if people are trying to keep their lawns looking decent and manicured and stuff, now they got a ditch there where they didn't before. And now they're going to end up lining it with rock and stone. I'm just concerned about that. And again, transparency and consideration that should have been done. And I don't believe that I was treated fairly. I was ready to go to court on this. The sheriffs, they were going to arrest me and give me a summons because I was impeding the highway. Because I was in my wheelchair. And I asked the cop then, does that mean anyone walking the road, are they in violation, impeding the highway? So I'm just saying that there seems to be some double standards in certain situations. And I know the rest of the ditch work hasn't been done, and that was the other question is they're doing all this ditch work here. Now, I asked the question further up on Clay Hill, up into Millionaire Alley. Why aren't these homes, they're getting their lots ditched? And they have the same situation, road comes down to the lawn, they maintain it, it's beautiful. Why are their lots being ditched?
Individual property owners, I don't know if I can speak for, I mean. The ditching standards are handed down from us, down to the town, from the state, we don't have much. Of a say in certain scenarios, and that Gould Hill was. Section of road that didn't meet road standards, and I might be not saying road standards, the right.
No, it's
Right, like 85 acronym that the state would give it.
I understand there's rules and regulations, but at the same token, there has to be a way that. There gotta be some better communication.
Certainly could be.
I'm just saying that, the town, why did the town put out a saying, we're gonna be doing ditching on this road? If you have an issue, please contact us, talk to the road person. I was told today, I thought there was a road commissioner, I was informed today that this gentleman was a road commissioner. I also was told he has all these qualifications, and that he's really, really smart, and that I don't know what I'm talking about. So that's fine. And they have no idea what my qualifications are or what I've done in the past.
Understood.
So. And I'm saying,
Well,
goodbye.
one question I had for you. My guess is we're late this year for milling the roads, but in the past, when we've milled asphalt. We've used what we could for town projects, and then I think we do like 2 loads per citizen that requests it. And those millings actually do kind of form back together. Is that something you'd be interested in if we,
No.
for your driveway to get
I
it
wanted
kind
to
of
go back
short?
to stay mat just like it originally was. Want to take the ditches out that they put in. I don't understand why they dug what they did. I've had 2 other people stop up. Since then, and have looked. And have lifted their arms like, why?
Okay,
All I could say,
thank you.
I've said enough.
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
Is there other public comment? Hearing none. Next up, we have select board issues or concerns and updates. Sorry, it's updates and or concerns, but. I have some old terminology. Is there any updates or concerns of the board?
I just to give a congratulations to Tuesday Night Live. I think they did really great work. With kind of an odd situation where they had to like change location and whatnot. So I went and it was like really great turnout and proud of them. And I have one concern, I guess. I wanted to know if we could either have agenda packets come out Thursday night or maybe move our meetings to Tuesday or something, because just speaking for myself personally, it's really hard to be able to absorb the packet fully on like a business day Monday, like before our meeting, because Mondays you just have so many emails with like your regular work. So just throwing that out there. I don't know if moving to Tuesdays would be the solution, or if there's any way to get the packet out Thursday nights instead, but. Yeah.
That's a really great. This is kind of an ongoing concern because the workday fills up quickly, right? So when you do get the packet, it's usually 8 o'clock, midnight, 2 a.m.
Mhm.
In an ideal world, it would be great if they were Wednesday, so then like the beginning of the week isn't as hectic usually as the end of the week, everything kind of comes together. But I don't, it feels unfair to ask the world to revolve around.
Yeah.
Getting my packet, so.
Mhm.
um,
Yeah, I guess something to think about for next time if. Yeah.
Certainly. I think we've expressed in the past that we'd like to receive the packet a little earlier. Any other issues, concerns, or updates from the board? Next up, we have planned purchases. Tom is recommending the rental of a boom mower. Which there's no written quote for that's been produced. But we did carry $11,000 in that line item for tree and brush removal and mowing. So the board could approve rental of a boom mower not to exceed $11,000 or 8,500. I guess we could pick a random number. I think your recommendation is 8,000, Tom, but if there's like a trucking fee, I didn't wanna.
So, Jason did a lot of shopping around on this. I talked today, Jason was out today, but I talked to Mark. Initially, we were gonna contract it out. I just think you saw that email last week. And then they looked at renting one themselves. It was $10,000 from Pete's for 2 weeks. This is $8,000 for a month. So we would get it for 4 weeks. And it's being held for us for the month of October. If you guys move forward tonight.
My concern is that it's gonna be used every single day. You know, I don't want it sitting around for 2 or 3 days or a week or something like that. We did have a situation a while back where we had a piece of equipment that we rented and I believe it sat around for 2 weeks idle. That's not good business. You know,
The grant project on Gould Hill that they're working on now has to be completed by September 30th, which is why they chose to rent it in the month of October. And the intention is it's like I guess an oversized brush mower so that they would be concentrating not so much on grass and roadside mowing, but actually doing the brush and tree work to push roads back. So that way next year they could rent a smaller boom mower or possibly even buy one just to maintain what they did with the heavier piece of equipment this fall.
like I say, I have no problem while it's just busy.
Make a motion.
So move, Mr. Chairman, provided it's busy.
I don't know what it was. Was that motion to rent a boom mower
Yeah,
and
you got it.
$11,000?
You got it.
So not to exceed 11,000?
Right.
And Peter seconded that, and you're okay with that dollar amount?
Yeah.
Okay. Any further discussion?
I just have a question. So do we own like a tractor at all? So why do we have to rent both?
Because our tractor is too small to handle, it can handle like a light duty articulating mower, but it can't handle a heavy duty one like this.
Okay,
And so in the past, we had rented one and I think it was $10,000. And so they found.
$10,984.44.
There you go. So, but then with being a person down, we looked at contracting, but it was really hard to find people to mow. Finally found somebody and it was only gonna be, I think, a 60-inch pass one time around for 10,000. And so this was another alternative. There's a new person in the industry who's renting equipment. And it's filling up, so that's.
so it's a mid-size boom mower that's needed or a mid-size tractor that's needed.
Like probably 150 horse. It's
Okay.
more about weight than it is about horsepower. It's such a steady thing.
Okay.
On the side.
While we're in further discussion, we get complaints about boom mowing every year. Can you make a note to September 15th to a Facebook post and then maybe the 25th? I think people know that all roadside, Facebook, town website, front porch forum. Just informing people roadside will be happening, roadside mowing. Good.
Yeah, good.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Like,
All those opposed? And the ayes have it. Paul, you're in the hot seat.
Hey,
Procedure report. Very detailed.
Well, to Adrian's point, my apologies for sending it late. Tom sent me the request about 2 weeks ago and I just didn't get around to it, so sorry about that. I've been told you by reading through it, but I wanted to point out a couple of things in it. As far as accomplishments, we'll start with the third one. We revised the planning commission bylaws and terms. If you jump down to the list of committee members, you'll see that we have 9 seats and we made them all 3-year terms. Before there were 3 2-year terms, and it was always confusing who was getting off, what seat was coming open, and so on and so forth. So we just made it simple. So we currently have 2 vacant seats. If Jesse's appointed at your next meeting, which I hope he is, then we'll have 1 vacant seat.
You heard that, Tom?
Yep, started on the agenda.
Okay,
Great, thank you. I don't know if anybody had a chance to attend the flood mitigation modeling presentation that SLR did up at the college 2 week ago.
No, the same night.
it was during our meeting.
Oh, that's right, it was. That's my bad scheduling, sorry.
Nobody here attended it.
It was quite good, particularly for people who haven't been paying as close attention to flood modeling and remediation and all that kind of stuff as you guys have. There were a lot of good questions, a lot of good discussion. The gist of it is that SLR already had a model of Moyle River, kind of the middle stretch. They're extending it downstream and upstream, so it'll cover the whole watershed. And they're also going up to Guion. They've currently finished modeling the Guion, and now they're running validation studies to see how well it did. And basically what they do is they take an old storm with all the antecedent rainfall and so forth, run it through the model, see what it comes up with, and then look at historical pictures and so forth to see, if it's close. And for what they've done around here, their model is working very well. So that's encouraging. One of our missions is to kind of get back to them and say, okay, is there a way we can use the Johnson portions of this model prior to everything else being done? Can we get better modeling of what will happen over in Holmes Meadow? What else we might do that would have some benefit? And I'm not quite sure the answer to that. It's not clear to me how the whole thing fits together and whether that's feasible. But anyway, it was a good presentation. It's nice to have a lot of public there. And there were quite a few people online as well, so that was good. With respect to Johnson Visioning, which we talked about in the past, we're planning that with LCPC and DuBois and King. That's tentatively sometime in August. We're still trying to find a date and site. But I wanted to point out that Seth Jensen from LCPC and I met with Ernie Parmelo, basically to tell him that we were going to have this meeting and one of the properties we're going to talk about is his. So it seemed like it'd be a reasonable thing to invite him and just inform him. And he was very supportive, and he's received numerous assurances that he's well in the pile for FEMA buyout, but he has no idea where he is in the pile or when anything will happen. However, he's very hopeful that it goes through, and if it does, he's more than willing to commit some of those funds to help the town do something productive with property that'll contribute to the town. So he's very interested in continuing to support the town like he's done for so many years. So that was really nice. 2 other things that are on the docket for, well, I shouldn't really have this listed under recent accomplishments, but form-based code, we've been talking about a lot in planning commission meetings. And there's some debate as to whether it's actually doing anything for the town. Is it doing anything productive? Are we actually using it? Are we holding people to the standards that are in there? And depending on who you ask and which example you point at, so the answer is yes, no, or maybe. So moving down to the next one, as we get to renewing the flood hazard bylaws, there may be some conflicts between the way the new flood hazard bylaws have to read to update them to the state standards and what we currently have for form-based code. So that'll get down to one of the grants we plan to apply for later this fall is a municipal planning grant. I just sort all that nonsense out and get flood hazard bylaws that meet the new standards and figure out what to do with form-based code. So that's something that will probably come back to you guys and say, what do you want us to do with this? Do you want to keep it on the books? Do you want to try to revise it? Revising is just as hard as repealing. So. What do we want to do? With respect to flood hazard bylaws, we had a whole bunch of people from the state come in. We had Rebecca and Stacy from A&R come in, Ron Majensky came in. And LCPC and had a number of different presentations on what form those might take. There are a bunch of states templates we can use. One of the questions that will come up eventually is, if we have the new flood hazard bylaws, do we also want to adopt river corridors? You may remember a couple of years ago, this came up. At that time, the planning commission recommended that we not adopt river corridors. There was a lot of concern, particularly in the uplands where the feeling was it needed some ground truthing. Because basically, one of the things river corridors does in the uplands is you go across the river, then you go across the outline, and then if there's any kind of a bank, you go up the bank, and then you go out 50 feet. And that's your river corridor. Well, if you go up to where I live, or anywhere up in that area, some of those banks are 40 feet high. River's not coming up 40 feet and then going out 50 feet. So there's kind of an excessive taking of public property, if you will. I don't know if that's a good reason for the town not to adopt them, because I think it's pretty limited examples, but. The other issue is that if you look at downtown. The river corridor encompasses pretty much the whole 500-year floodplain, which means it's all of the damn downtown. So we need to think about what it means if we adopt it, what we can do or can't do. So we'll try to sort out the pros and cons and the what's and wherefores, and then come back with either a question or a recommendation to you guys. Grants, municipal planning grant is the big one. The other thing that I should say is adopting river corridors. We currently have everything in place to get matching funds in the event of a disaster. Right now, we're at 12.5% match from the state. If we adopt river corridors, that goes up to 17.5. So
For the ERAF.
for the UAP,
Yeah.
yeah.
Thought it was the F.
Mhm.
Thought it was ERAF.
What's the stand
Maybe it's
for?
a P. It doesn't matter.
Emergency Residential Assistance Program. I don't know. So I'm not sure. I forget. Something along those lines.
We talked about it again in 2023.
It, you know, that's what it ended up being, like a $30,000 difference, I think. It wasn't a huge amount of money, but it's
For taking a lot of
everybody
private
helps.
land.
So that's something to think about. The needs, priorities and so forth. I think our number one thing we're talking about is we need a plan for these downtown properties that are going through FEMA buyouts. You know, where are they in the process? Which ones are going through? And then what are we gonna do with them? How do we maintain them? How do we get some benefit in terms of public access, public use, and also flood mitigation? So that's a big ticket item. Plan for Legion Field, we talked about that. It'll be a public hearing sometime in September. With VCRD helping with that. LCPC has also mentioned that we currently have a village center designation. Apparently the state is rolling the current designation program, which has like 5 different categories, into a simplified program, which only has 2 categories. But the downtown category that we theoretically can apply for and have 1 foot in the door because we already have the village center requires A, zoning, and B, what's the other thing, Adrian? I've forgotten.
Sewer and water?
No, but that would make sense.
To be designated?
Sorry, I'm drawing a blank. I forgot what the other thing, but there's 2 requirements. And there's a question is whether we meet both of them. One, form-based code is not really clear if that meets the zoning requirement. It's sort of zoning, sort of not. So they're looking into that. That's one of the questions we'll have to kind of wrestle with. A question for you all. I know Duncan was looking into the town sewer service area, extending it to include part of the industrial park and thus all up 100C. Does anybody know where that stands, or is that something we need to chase down? He and I worked on it briefly together, and then he kind of took it and ran with it, but I don't know where it ended up.
It's not finished. And we might need to have a different select board member work with you on it.
Okay, I'll follow up on that. Another question for you all. Randall Zott submitted a grant back in 2024 for the recreation economy for rural communities. We had a steering committee that a bunch of people in town were on, and we interviewed in April of this year.
Mhm.
Do we have any idea where that grant stands?
We were told. Filling in for Randall.
Yes, thank you very much for that.
I saw that note about expecting a decision. We're trying to get an answer now.
Okay,
Because we're getting like close to midsummer.
yeah,
Past will be some.
Is that gonna
Yeah.
be in conjunction with a town committee, hopefully? Tied to it, tethered to it somehow?
It's a steering committee, it's like its own separate thing, right?
say again, sorry.
It's a steering committee where it's like its own separate thing away from.
Well, the steering committee was, I think, just for the interview process to kind of
Uh.
help get the grant, and then we'd have to figure out what to do with it afterwards. Right now, it's not really attached to a committee. I mean, I guess the planning commission would probably pick it up with Carl's help, but
It could be
Yeah.
attached to the planning commission, that would be. Nice.
okay, it's. The grant, and Adrian, you may recall this better than I do, it's actually a advisory and consulting and assistance grant more than it's not a pot of money. But we need all the help we can get with planning, so it should be
Yeah,
good.
My impression is that was not tied to a town committee, that people were stakeholders that were interested. I know I was on it and some others were being put forward, they are not part of the committee, so.
But how the town accepts it could be slightly different.
I don't know if it was the town that was going to accept it.
If we didn't apply for it, we don't have to worry about it.
Did.
There you go, we did apply for it, so we would be accepting it.
Yeah, I think it's a town grant. Grant will apply on behalf of the town, so
Yes.
it's yours to decide what to do with.
Mhm.
And. But it is recreation economy, so it makes sense. We've got a whole bunch of people plugged in to that specific area.
Yeah. It was tied to like the recreation reimagined task force. It's like,
Right. Which is not a town committee.
Right.
Right.
Better or worse, yeah.
yeah,
Okay, so there's that and. Longer term priorities, water and sewer like we talked about. I did want to mention this plan for housing. Because I think LCPC presented here a couple of months ago about new state goals and how many houses are supposed to build every year. It's like 27 houses a year or something. Aspirational, to say the least.
Mhm.
I believe Tasha Wallace had used those words exactly. It's aspirational goals and there was
Aspirational
no
goals, yeah.
penalty if you didn't meet the goal.
I don't believe there's any penalty. I think there's a penalty for LCPC. They have to work on it actively, but I don't know that it affects the town necessarily. But obviously, if we're gonna attract people to town and grow the town, we need houses, so it's in our interest.
Mhm.
I don't want to take up too much more time. You got a big agenda. But as of next month, we'll have 4 new members on the planning commission, which is really exciting. Got new energy, new blood, and so forth, which is great. And basically our long-term plan is to collaborate and try to promote the task forces as they, get the bit in their teeth and really get grant funding, support them in any way we can and coordinate as you want us to. All I got, questions? You come bursting.
Just, thank you. All of you for incredible work.
Let's not get carried away.
But thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. And we'll pass it on. Yeah, we've got a pretty good group. I'm pretty excited.
I have some questions for you.
Yeah.
Okay, have you invited LCPC to give any like presentation on zoning? Or like doing light zoning in Johnson, just, cause I think there's a lot of misconceptions that maybe. You guys could be educated on and we could be educated on, but maybe like inviting them to give you a presentation on it might be a first step in that.
Define light zoning for me.
Like zoning where if you wanna put some kind of shed in your property, you can just do that, it's not like You don't have to go through any regulations for that kind of stuff. And. Yeah,
We have not, so that's certainly something we can consider.
okay. So I think they could provide a lot of information on that and like all the benefits, as far as like applying for grants when we have zoning and. When we become a designated center or whatever they're gonna call it at the end of the year. Yeah, I'm glad you talked to Seth about the designated downtown and the village thing, cause I learned that from him too recently. I was gonna say that, Steve, I forgot. And I was gonna say something for flooding. Shoot, I can't remember it. Do you need us to put out an advertisement for your other vacant position?
What are we doing? We're doing that every 6 months now, just all committees, is that the?
Yeah, it's kind of checking in here and
Yeah,
there.
we left
This is a big push that either the end of May, beginning of June. And then we'll probably do another one.
With our new appointment policy, do you still have to do it or?
Well, I think now the list is held by you and you're supposed to notify us of vacancies, which I did. But I
Get
think,
yourself notified.
yeah, so I guess, I mean, it's up to you, if we want to keep trying. Or we can wait months.
Well, I'm fine with putting it out, but I would, for your sake, and it seems like for consistency, it'd be nice to just do all committees together and say, here's all vacancies if you want to sign up.
But with the planning commission. It's unique anyways, because we're required to notice that in the paper. For beautification, there's no statutory requirement for noticing vacancies, right? We can put it on Facebook or. What have you, but.
Yeah.
The planning commission and the library board of trustees are unique. In that realm.
We like to think so.
All committees are unique, but. There's statutory requirements
Yeah.
for posting that vacancy. And
Okay, well, then I think it'd be great. When we appoint Jesse, let's announce the one remaining vacancy then. That'd be great. Thank you.
Oh, I remember the other thing I should say, for the flood hazard bylaws. I trying to remember if I remember it correctly, but aren't those going to be like state? Or like river corridors, I mean, aren't those gonna be state requirements anyway?
Yes, they are. And one of the reasons we had so many people come in from the state was to try to get some sort of clarity on what those requirements are gonna be and when they're gonna be.
Oh,
And I got very ambiguous answers.
oh,
It's
okay.
coming at some point, probably a couple years off.
Yeah,
There's arguably some advantage to getting what we think they're gonna be, getting our own stuff in line before they come on, because then you get some grace period to kind of figure out how to comply completely. But there wasn't enough clarity to make it seem like, okay, this is good, let's jump on and get going. So in our last meeting with LCPC, Seth is the one that suggested, let's go after a municipal planning grant to designate some real time to it, and I figured it out.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I have.
Any further questions for Paul?
Can I say one thing?
Sure.
You look into zoning to do, I think zoning light is a good descriptor, but I think that the big push is, what is the minimum amount of zoning required to avert Act 250? When you have zoning, you no longer have to go through Act 250. If you meet the requirement, and that has a considerable savings to residents trying to build or businesses or new development. And it's a huge hurdle that prevents new growth, and I think if we could put some zoning in to prevent the Act 250 process, it would make construction in our costs in our town considerably less. Okay.
You don't have to go through it all or simplifies the process.
Towns that have zoning that have been approved by the Act 250 board do not have to put every application through Act. I think there's still certain applications that still would require Act.
Okay.
For clarity, the full select board did not ask the planning commission to take on zoning.
I didn't ask them to take on zoning.
So you're looking into it. Even though you're not being formally asked. It's fine.
I'll make a motion for the planning commission to reach out to LCPC to ask for a presentation on education around zoning.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there further discussion?
You just said education.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? There you go.
Thanks, now you're back to single corner. All right.
Thank you.
I have to do.
Paul, pardon me,
I'm sorry.
you sure you damn near did. What about the thing in September? Anything at all?
Immediate.
Is that the next item on our agenda? So next up on our agenda is Legion Field hearing parameters. Do we have any recommended parameters? It's in that, if that's in September, we could.
Oh, well, there is the planning outline that BCRD sent to Paul. So I don't know if we have any. Thing we want to add to that, or if we want to delegate it to the planning commission. To just do
You want to delegate it to the planning commission?
the Legion Field planning. They're already kind of doing it.
I apologize, we got,
Legion Field planning,
yes.
working with.
Planning
BCRD.
meeting
Oh,
parameters.
Yeah,
So the rest of the board wanna have the planning commission form the parameters for the Legion Field hearing?
You've already been in touch with
BCRD.
BCRD. Right?
yes, to the extent of asking them to help facilitate when we have a meeting, that's it. You have not set any guidelines or parameters or whatnot. For the discussion.
Does the planning commission have time to set those parameters, or would you rather the select board set parameters?
Well, I think what BCRD does is they have a planning document that they use to help facilitate meetings, and they, who's invited, who are the stakeholders, what questions you want to ask, what's the outcome, what kind of activities we need to draw the information out of the crowd. So my thought was to work with the planning commission to fill out, send it to them, and see what they want to do. I'm not sure what other sort of guidelines or parameters you're considering. I mean, the topic is, what's the future of Legion Field, how do we best use it for the town, all things considered.
I think for context, the select board, when they thought about having the hearing, work with BCRD that September, this outline hadn't come out yet. And so the select board wanted to set aside some time to define those parameters, but now that you've sent this outline with the parameters kind of included. It feels like, they're crossing paths. So does the board want to fill this out or have the planning commission fill it out? I think it's probably the question on this table.
I'm cool with the planning commission filling it out. You said you were okay with that already.
Sure.
Adrian already suggested it. So
Yep.
I'm following your lead. I assume you're good with it. I
Just so
think,
you know, and that's for people that are involved in Legion Field discussion already, their thoughts.
great. All right. Next up, future committee. Who would the board like to see next month?
Let's do it.
Not this year. You good with that?
Fine.
There you go. You good with that?
Yep.
Historical Society. Next up. I would entertain a motion. To enter executive session from the board.
I move the board go into executive session for negotiating or securing of real estate purchase or lease. Options on 1 VSA 31382.
Second.
Motion a second, further discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, and the ayes have it. We are entering executive session at, that screen is fuzzy, 7:10.
So.
Board consented out of executive session at 7:55. Our next items up are the additional items, and the first item is accepting a resignation letter from Duncan Hastings for the select board. Give me 1 second here. We will read the resignation letter into the minutes. If I can find it. Somewhere there. I know you had it.
It's kind of. Here it is, what it says before that. Starts at the bottom and ends on the next page.
Greetings, Evan. Please accept this email as my official resignation from the Johnson Select Board, effective Monday, July 21st. It has been an honor to serve on the board, but I have recently concluded that service is having a negative impact on my health and well-being, as well as a feeling that I am not particularly effective. I think a fundamental function of the select board, namely setting the priorities and direction of the town, is not happening as I believe it should. Traditionally, that has been accomplished as a process of initial concept being introduced to the board, supported by information and facts, followed by healthy board discussion, where appropriate public input would be sought. A very transparent process. Following a robust discussion, a vote or consensus decision of the board on whether or not to pursue, again, an open view of the public would be taken. The action decision then would be carried out by staff. Often this was a deliberate step-by-step process with ample opportunity to consider ramifications. Honestly, I think we're failing in this responsibility. I've always believed that once a board decision was made, individual board members should support the majority vote or consensus decision of the board. I've begun to question my willingness to unilaterally support decisions. I have always tried to analyze issues and make decisions affecting Johnson according to what I thought was best for Johnson. I worry that we seem to be taking a big vision and somewhat less thoughtful approach to issues lately. In the event my thoughts are out of the mainstream, which I freely admit may be the case, my resignation will enable someone to step up and offer ideas and input and service. In addition to my resignation from the select board, I am also notifying LCPC that I am resigning as the town's representative to the LCPC board, the executive committee, and chair of the planning and projects review committee. The select board will need to appoint a representative to the LCPC board. This does not need to be a select board member. It is a good board and deserves good representation. You will also need to appoint a town representative to the interlocal agreement for assessor services oversight committee. This does not have to be a select board member, but in my opinion, it should be someone familiar with the issues and process. I was designated the official signatory for the MBRC grant. You will need to designate a new signatory, which does have to be a select board member. Or sorry, it just says board member. I have assisted as a volunteer in helping people acquire burial lots in Evergreen Ledge Cemetery and general maintenance of town cemeteries. You will need to find a person to assist the select board with this. This may require some thought about the town's role in this process. I may be missing something. Suffice to say, I resigned from anything I've been working on. I am happy to provide further information on any of the above positions if that is useful. It has been a privilege to serve with you. I am happy to help in any way I can with the transition. Sincerely, Duncan Hastings. P.S. I would appreciate it if you would read this letter into the record, but I will leave that up to you. Please feel free to share this with other board members.
I have a thing.
You do. What's that?
Move. To accept Duncan Hastings' resignation from the select board with our thanks. for many years of service in countless ways and always having the best interests of the Johnson community at heart.
Second.
Motion a second. Is there any further discussion? I'd like to thank Duncan personally. I think he did more work than any of the board members. And he did a great job at it. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Yikes.
Wish I could, but wouldn't matter. Next up, schedule a special meeting to interview and appoint vacancies on the select board. While we're on that topic, please add to your list. As resolution letter. That we will, board members can correct me, I believe that we should post to see if there's interest for an LCPC or town representative. We'll need to add to the list the interlocal agreement for assessor services. We're gonna handle NVRC tonight. We'll need to handle cemetery. For sure, that's just to start. When would the board like to schedule a special meeting? To appoint a member to fill the vacancy until town meeting. Probably should be a month out, so we can post. For interest, interview candidates. I assume the board wants to do it the same way as was done with Peter, but Michael and I are the only ones that were here when that was done, so. Open to ideas.
Can we shorten that process?
What process?
Can we announce a vacancy, ask for letters of interest within a reasonable time frame of, say, a week? And schedule something sooner than a month out to interview.
We have another meeting in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Yeah, we could,
or would, so would that takes up with the whole meeting, all right?
That's. I would recommend it being a special meeting, but
Yeah.
all depends on how many people are interested.
had 6 like we did last time.
Yeah, can we decide once we know how many?
A little bit more of a commitment this time.
Yeah. Maybe we make the deadline like the day before our next meeting, and if it's a lot, then we make it a special meeting, or we can't schedule a special meeting like.
24 hours.
Yeah, we can do it, we can, with the
24
email, we
hours
can do it
notice.
like through email, right?
Yeah. As long as it's posted 24 hours in advance.
Okay.
I do think we should pick a date.
So
Applicants in with, I think last time we asked for a brief letter of
letter of
interest.
interest, yeah. What if we post something by this Wednesday? And ask for those letters by next Wednesday, the 30th,
Why not just the first?
or the 1st? Yeah, the 1st. And then, depending on how many come in, then we decide whether to do it at our next meeting or a special meeting.
Don't you have to do an interview meeting?
Yeah, that's why I think it should be a special meeting. So we could say applications are due by X, the interview and appointment will be on Y.
Right.
You guys be opposed to the 31st, which is a Thursday, but that would allow us. It would allow Friday to notice to change the agenda to include it or not include it.
Oh, the
Where
31st for the deadline for.
Yeah, so then that way,
we need to schedule a special meeting.
Right.
Even if it's one candidate.
Even what, if it's one candidate. All right,
We ask for. letters of interest in by 10 days from now.
It's just Mondays work for people, or like could we do?
Well, I don't,
Well, the week of the fourth, I can do. Tuesday. Wednesday. Thursday.
About Thursday?
deal. Good with that, Mike?
Yes,
Okay,
Thursday the seventh.
so we can make application deadlines. The Tuesday before
8-5.
the board can get them.
The fifth,
And are we handling this in the same manner we handled it last time? There was a decent amount of backlash last time. Because we had interviews in executive session, which I do believe we're allowed to.
Oh.
But we did have public comment period and. I think 1 or 2 people showed up. I think they're here. For the public.
Yeah, I was,
I think Casey was.
right? She's busy.
Sorry.
And then we
She's
had
very
interviews in
good.
executive session.
Yeah.
And then we came out and made an appointment in open meeting.
was it beneficial to have an executive session? Or could it have been in public?
Maybe it allows people to speak freely. Attendees, our decision needs to be made public. And our reasoning for that decision needs to be made public as well. It's not like we can say appoint. John Smith, you have to say
I guess
to the
personally,
qualifications or whatever.
I'm in favor of doing it not in executive session, but just because. Like, they would be a public official anyway, so they would. I don't know what they would need to say in private to us.
Want to talk about the pros and cons of one individual versus another in public?
Oh, no,
No,
saying-
deliberation could be in.
Yeah.
private, but
We
the
can enter
interviews-
deliberation.
right, interviews in public, but deliberations in private,
Okay,
yeah.
That's good.
You cool with that?
fine with me.
Okay. You got it written
What
down?
time?
Tom?
6:30,
6.
6?
I am leaving for Maine on the 5th that morning. I'm staying. For the 4th, the meeting on the 4th, and that next morning, the boys and I are gone. So I won't be here for either of those dates to receive or to attend the meeting. Who would you like me to have them sent to, the letter of interest?
Send them to the board.
So when I post, so I won't be able to do that where I'm gonna be. So when I post this to say, send your letter. of
They can
interest-
send it to me and I'll forward it to the board.
Okay,
It's pretty easy to.
Can you post, can you warn the meeting on the 5th?
I'm probably gonna warn it tomorrow.
Oh,
Just do everything, let's do it all right away. Yeah,
Okay. Next up, another added item, sorry, Carl, adopt a resolution designating a signature authority for the MDRC grant, who would the board like to appoint? As signatory for the MDRC grant, and it does have to be a select board member.
In the course of getting ready for this. I found out there are actually 3 forms of submit. And I also saw in the NPRC compliance manual. That does not appear it has to be a select board member. There are 2 different paragraphs in the section. About this authorization, authorizing official. And. The NPRC uses the term executive. In referring to the local official. So it implies to me that. Therefore, it could be, in your case, the town administrator. Or some other. Executive official, but it could be member of the, well, if that's what you do.
but Rosemary,
Well. I suppose, yeah. In Vermont anyway, oftentimes clerks are. Assigned as responsibilities, signs and the documents.
Entertain a motion from the board.
I move the town administrator to do it.
second,
You're sure about that, Carl?
So 2 paragraphs used the word executive. Like I said, in the context.
I am not familiar enough with those documents. All I know is what Duncan said, and he's usually not wrong, but.
It could be a first time.
Could be. I said usually, I didn't say never. Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
I,
All those opposed? The ayes have it. I don't need to sign this time. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll go downstairs after. My agenda items and complete that document so that you can sign them.
Okay, perfect. The last one, was an addition. There's a liquor license renewal for Marsala Salsa. I don't know if we need a motion. The board just needs to speak now, or Rosemary will submit the liquor license renewals. No board members have an issue with that. Okay, we did give her the authority to do that. Carl, CEDS update.
Okay, so for anybody's background, if they're not aware, I was asked to fill in partially for Randall. I was asked to handle 10 grants when they were listed in a grant tracker document that I was given. So this report is based on those grant projects on that tracker. The first one on your list is the NDRC Industrial Park. And very shortly after I started working here part-time, the town cleared a significant hurdle when Mumley completed the NEPA, the National Environmental Protection Act, the statement, submitted that, and it was accepted at NDRC. Then they returned to us this notice of availability, which has been published in the local paper and posted downstairs at the library and at the post office here in Johnson. And the notice of availability states that anybody from the public that's interested or wants to see this NEPA report has to contact NDRC and they'll arrange to get it to the person who's interested. That public comment period is open until August 3rd. On July 2nd, after that NEPA was submitted and accepted, we had a team meeting. So that's people from Mumley, Pat from the local economic development corporation, and people from the Memorial County Planning Commission, and myself and Tom participated in this meeting. And Mumley reported that they're now moving on to completing some permit applications. They said they've done a lot of work on the Act 250 permit application over time, because some things wouldn't be changing. And working on the state stormwater permit application is a priority right now, because that really should be in hand when they apply for the Act 250 permit. And the VTrans 111 or 1111 is not terribly difficult to complete that. And we do have another team meeting this Wednesday, so we'll hear more about Mumley's progress. There are 3 matters which we would like to talk to you, and I maybe I will come back to these after I complete the whole SEDS report. But regarding the Act 250, I'm sorry, the industrial park plans, there is a vast trail running through the property. And also when Victoria from the Planning Commission and I walked the property on July 11th, we noticed a sign referring to a VASA trail. And it was along an area that looked like at one time it was being used as a trail or an old farm road or something. Doesn't look like it's been used at all this year. So we want to ask the board how you want to handle those trails. We also want to talk to you about prime ag soil set aside. And if the board has any interest in having deed restrictions or covenants for the property. Since the town has no zoning regulations, and if you've got a particular vision for how you want the park developed and maintained, that would be a way for you to accomplish that. We can come back to those three items after the reading. The second project on the list is the Johnson Visioning Project. Fairly recently, early June, you awarded consulting contract for that to Dubois and King. And Victoria Eldwig from the Planning Commission reports that they're trying to arrange the first public meeting. And this says mid-August, but since this was typed up, I've learned that now it's more likely going to be later in August. And once we do get the date selected, we'll let the select board know when that's going to be. Third on the list is the Building Communities Grant / Recreation. This is for the Welcome Center, repairs or improvements. Again, back in June, we were awarded a contract to back 40 builders contingent upon the Rail Trail Committee's approval. The Rail Trail Committee has not taken action on that as of July 16th. They had a meeting last Wednesday, and I have not heard from the chairman what the outcome was at their meeting last Wednesday.
Did you reach out to Adrian? Did
Did
you reach out to the chair?
Sorry, I reached out to Doug, actually, he told me
Oh.
very recently.
Mm-hmm. I think
I was at that meeting and they approved Brian's estimate, contingent on Adrian and Tom reviewing a more detailed itemized estimate, and as long as they're okay with that, then they're okay with the price that Brian.
What that price was.
I wanna say 14,200.
14,250 is what he told me. Yeah. Perfect.
okay.
Thank you, everybody.
That's great.
So that's what the project then maybe can get moving, because there's a jurisdictional opinion from Act 250 District Office that an amendment is not required for that work. On the list that I was given, there was a Memorial Area Realtors grant for some amenities at the Arboretum. That work has been completed and the realtors have paid the town, so that project is closed. Also on the list I was giving was an AARP grant, and I was told by Doug that the town, the Rail Trail Committee were not awarded that grant, so there's no action to take on that. The Preservation Trust of Vermont was helping the Historical Society with an assessment of the building that was done by Hunger Valley Construction. The report has been issued, and we have it electronically at the office, and the Historical Society also has a copy. And I wanted to check on the status of the invoice, and was told that the Hunger Valley Construction was not entered that invoice yet. When it does come in, the town is responsible for 50% of the cost. And I believe back in the winter, the select board said you would use your grant matching reserve fund to pay for that. On the full record, Rail Trail Connector scoping study, the consultant there is VHB Engineering. Last week, we held a team meeting and we selected Thursday, August 14th at 6:30 for the next for the second public meeting. And that, that meeting is typically referred to as an alternatives presentation. With that meeting, the engineers will be presenting several alternatives that they've identified, and with that, the listing pros and cons and hoping for public feedback on those options for providing a connector from the rail trail to the downtown area.
You said they haven't set a date yet, or they have set a
They
date?
have set the date as Thursday, August 14th,
August 14th, okay.
6:30. VHB is preparing a flyer that will be posted about town, and the town is posted on this website or something also.
Okay.
And then the last one on the list, which I added, because I noticed it in Randall's files, but was not on the grant tracker, but I also noticed it in Randall's monthly reports, and I went to those to try to help me catch up on the status of all these different projects and grants. That in April, in May, he reported that they had this interview on April 24th. And so I'm looking for the status of that grant application for you now. So any questions on any of those matters before we get to the industrial park?
Board,
No,
not hearing any. Three things for the industrial park.
Okay, so the Bass Trail is an official trail. It's got a designation on the Bass website. And check the trails. It's got an official designation that was 15C. That was in effect. And it makes sense that there's a trail there. Because snowmobilers like to stop at places like Charlie's. The trail runs right down what is labeled Road A, or the main or longer road serving the industrial park. And there's then the Bassett Trail that I mentioned, which we saw were going up the main road. Then there's Road B to the right, which was where lots 1A through 1E are, the 5 smaller lots. But we saw that trail sign at the rear of lots like B and C. Also on the plans, which we were asked to review, getting ready for Wednesday, there are two other references to trails. One is appears again coming off of Route 15 to just to the west of the main road of Road A. And then 2/3 of the way up the hill off of the Bass Trail, seemed like there was maybe it's a local trail going off to the left. You're going up the hill, so going to the west over to the I'm going to ask about the status of those when we meet on Wednesday, what those trails were about, but I'm assuming they might be local trails. Like for private owners to access the gate. So regarding Bass, would the select board like to try to see a trail maintained through your property? Or do you want to tell the local snowmobile club, you have to find a better, different way, or you get to Route 15? And if you are interested in keeping it, there is a possibility of just having it skirt all the way around the rear of the lots on the left side going up the hill, or the western side of the road. And then coming down to the first lot, which is the stormwater retention. And I hope that you've seen some of these plans, so you have some idea what I'm talking about.
Yes, granted, it was a previous board. In one of our meetings discussing the industrial park, there was discussions of Vasa and vast trails. And I'd have to look back at the minutes if you wanna quote me. But the general wishes of the previous board. Was not to remove the trails completely as access, but an understanding that they may need to move to make the lots work. Albeit previous board, this board could say what they want. I am willing to stand behind that individually. They could skirt around and come through the stormwater pretty much.
Sure.
I'm comfortable with that.
Great.
I think that
No
was,
different,
I think that was
somebody,
both Vast and Vasa that were there at that meeting, but Vast was more organized.
it's kind of no different than on somebody selling a piece of property and a trail goes through and then they have to. Get permission from the new owners, so I mean, it's not.
And there's no deeded right away to
Yeah,
my
there's
knowledge.
nothing.
They used to come to the board every year and ask permission, but
Yeah.
that,
So,
Would you like that as a deeded right away as they're starting to plan out their lots, so then it's a permanent fast trail, like that lots X, Y, and Z have. Along the boundary, so that way they could always have access to Jolly, or. We want it to be permission with the new lot owners.
And with the lay of the land up there. That would not, probably would not impact. The owners of those lots in the future.
we can bring that up during deeds and covenants, I guess.
Yeah, I wonder if like. Just like safety wise, depending on who the owner is, if it'd be safe. For a trail to be there. So I think it would depend on the owner maybe.
it's gonna be a long time coming for this thing to build anyway, so we'll worry about it then.
Did you get an answer about the trails?
But you would like to. try to keep-
They gotta move. But we would like an attempt made to try to keep them. General consensus, board?
Okay. And then the Bassett Trail, I did contact Bassett today. And. My call went to the person responsible for the trail's cell phone. And he told me he was in New Hampshire and didn't have good service. In fact, we did get cut off the first time. And he said when he got better service, he'd call back, but I did not hear from him. So I don't know what the status of that possible trail is. The only
Probably-
was that there was a sign on a tree.
It's probably very limited. It used to connect to Draglot Road. And come out on Gold Hill right here. Because a previous select board kind of gave a one summer. Trial period of allowing ATVs down a certain section of a class 2 highway, which. By the ordinance isn't allowed. To my knowledge, it was used a lot that summer, but. Not really used since. Is that a accurate depiction? Everybody's looking at me like I know what I'm talking about.
You do most of the time.
They were at that meeting with Vast. And if possible, that board wanted to maintain some or maintain their ability to have some sort of trail if possible.
Is there a local club that attended that meeting?
Green Mountain ATV,
Yeah,
it
what
was
Green-
probably Spencer Laggett or Chad Letourneau. As well as a member or two.
Okay.
I can get you some contact numbers. if you
Yes,
want.
you could. Cause I don't know where the trail. Was intended to go to or where it came from.
The intention was to get ATVs to a gas station so they could fill up and go back up to Gold Hill and leave town. Hopefully, I'm not speaking too much for people here, because I'm not a member of the Green Mountain ATV Club. But it was a dead end trail. To get gas services. There's no bridge across the river there.
Okay,
Does that answer the trails?
yes, I'll appreciate getting those names to follow up on the Bassett.
Yep.
The Primag soils.
We had briefly discussed that in a previous meeting. I don't know if there
I
was.
thought that was all decided.
I don't know if it was fully decided, but the wishes of this board, and I hope they correct me if I'm wrong, was if possible to do prime ag mitigation in the Gomo Town Forest, because there's primary agricultural soil there.
So that would be your number one choice.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Consensus of the board?
Yes.
Adrian's not shaking her head, yes. We talked about it like 2 months ago, maybe. 3 months ago? 3 months ago.
So I'm sorry, pulling soil from the forest.
No, there's primary agricultural soil there, which the state does all of this modeling using well drilling data and all this other stuff. And the state comes in and says, oh, well, you're gonna build something on primary agricultural soil.
Mhm.
So you either need to pay us a fine so that we can give money to somebody else in agricultural soil.
Mhm.
Or you need to put a covenants on some other agricultural soil that you own. To say that it can't be developed.
Okay.
And the Gomo Town Forest was originally purchased so that they could burn down the resident's house that lived there. They didn't need to maintain the road for a school bus, right?
It's like a carbon credit.
So, yeah,
Right.
but I did a cursory look with Randall, and there is primary agricultural soil on the Gomo Town Forest. And specifically, we had talked about this when the Conservation Commission came to do a report here. And we asked as a board if the Conservation Commission, which are the stewards of that land, would be opposed to it. And Lois had said, to her knowledge, there was no opposition.
Right, okay.
So the number one goal would be no money out of pocket. The trick is we have to reserve 2 acres
Mhm.
of prime ag per 1 acre that we use.
Okay,
And it's only for like, is it 20 years, Carl? Something like that.
I thought it was in perpetuity.
I thought there was a time limit, but whatever.
We can find out.
I mean, I would like to point out that Mumley could have pushed that because they took. We originally had budgeted over a year ago for something like $40,000 for primary ag mitigation fee. And whoever they talked to at the state said that we would not need to spend it, so out of our budgeting sheet. We had struck out that $40,000 before we went to the voters. For bond vote approval. I wasn't there for the conversations, but we struck that based on the engineering firm's recommendation. So if money's coming out of pocket, we're not planning any money coming out of pocket for prime ag.
In the discussions I heard that possibility of having to pay that mitigation fee was raised, and you're right, the figure of $40,000 was being mentioned. But it was also reported to me that there are 4 town properties that might serve the mitigation need. And doing a little bit of research. My suggestion was gonna be the Gomo lot first. That's what the board wants, so that's what I'll report on Wednesday, and we'll proceed as if that's how we're gonna address that concern.
Did you just say the state was gonna try to stick us $40,000?
No,
Yes, that's a possibility, if you don't wanna do your,
We're okay.
you don't wanna.
That's crazy. But anyway, I understand what we're doing. We're gonna make sure we don't have to pay any money. But. That's ridiculous if we didn't have any.
the use of deed, you have an answer for that one, right?
Yes,
The use of deed restrictions and covenances. A now former board member has brought this up several times. I don't know if this board has really had a chance to research it. Do you need an answer for that by Wednesday?
no, I don't need it for Wednesday, it's something that we talk about tonight, maybe to. Get people acquainted with the concept, a little bit about whatever, how far you can take the pros and cons. But there's no requirement that we do that, say that, this was just something that I brought up because we don't have zoning. Even if you had zoning, would be stricter than what the town zoning is if you had zoning. And I don't know if you talked about, you've got a specific vision for this. If you want the industrial park to. Kept, let's say, very. Neat and clean, you don't want, businesses turning their lot into what appears to be a junkyard, for instance. Because that might affect your ability to sell an adjoining lot. Or do you want to be sure that we're getting employment there? As opposed to just somebody putting in a building, maybe having one or two caretakers there. And we collect taxes on it, but you don't get the benefit of employment. I haven't heard anything about what your motivation for this was. Is it just tax base or is it both tax base and employment opportunities?
Well,
Paul can correct me, but I believe employment opportunities was part of the grant proposal. Paul worked on this original submission along with Beth and Duncan. I believe there needs to be employment opportunities.
Did we specify a number in the grant?
Sorry,
Did we specify a number in the grant for employees?
I don't believe so, but I asked for the back of it.
I think there was projections, but I don't know if that was a commitment. Do you have? With your experience with industrial parks from Barry? Any like common covenants and deed restrictions that might go along with an industrial park that we can mull over?
But Berry Town. Did
I
expand
see Barry City.
Wilson Industrial Park, a lot of us there, and we did use deed restrictions and covenants for the expansion area. We modified them a little bit from what Berry Area Development did for the original industrial park. And we did that even though the town had subdivision and zoning regulations. And that was to restrict certain uses, but they didn't want to see any hazardous, not hazardous, nuclear waste storage. They didn't want to see a butcher, not a butcher shop, but the slaughterhouse. That's the two things that come to mind that they said they didn't not want with them. Then there were other restrictions like building setback from the road right away. We had certain limits on that. It couldn't get any closer then or but no further back than try to help keep some, good visual appearance as you went down the street, so you didn't have the one building sitting 400 feet back from the road and the next one right at the gates. And then they also had some outdoor storage restrictions on that because they wanted to try to keep neat appearance in the apartment. The thinking being that the advantage Vermont has in competing with other states is we're in Vermont. We like the surroundings, they want things to look, so I would think that might be one of your main advantages here. So yes, there are those that I could require right for you to look at. And I don't know about others.
I guess we have some homework today though. Not sure where to get it, but there's somebody I can talk to. I'm not sure if like LEDC might have.
I could bring this up on Wednesday and see what the information found out as well.
LCPC might know because working in regional industrial parks too. Commonalities.
NVDA would be really helpful too.
What was that?
NVDA.
We send you some ideas.
We're gonna need to talk about it in another meeting. I've heard the concept by a former board member several times, but the exact wording.
Mhm.
Functionality of them, I guess. It's not my expertise.
So the deed restriction would be those requirements of. You can't do this, you can't do that, and the covenants is what. The grantor, in this case, the town is the landowner with the grantor. Or the enforcement agent. And you would be able to go to. The business that locates there and say, oh. Well, you can't do that outside of your building. Or you could say, sorry, you know, we're not selling a lot to somebody who wants to put it that private business.
Are there any further questions for Carl on his report? Any further questions for the board, Carl?
No, I don't, Pat, fine.
No.
So, thought he was gonna be learning about the industrial park, so we'll hold that, I guess. To the next meeting.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Go downstairs and get this resolution ready. Bring it up so you can sign it tonight.
Perfect.
Carl?
Thank you very much,
Thank
Carl.
you very much.
Okay, next up, we discussed. What's on the projects and priorities list last month. Board members got me their scores. In your packet, you have all the items. Exactly as the board. Approved it a month ago with some added comments from individual board members. As well as scores, and then you have, I just use an Excel spreadsheet. To average scores so that we could rank priorities. For both the town administrator and CEDS. What's the board want to do with this? Do you want me to? Put them in order, send them out? Do you want me to add to it, subtract from it? Do we want to go through this for the new board member?
Well, first, thank you for all the time and work you put into it.
A lot of.
Yeah, nice job, David.
These are short and verbiage,
Okay.
if it doesn't line up perfectly.
That's good. Yeah, I mean, if we're only like a month out from having a new board member, it might make sense to just wait. For a different average score.
At the very least,
Not to create double work. Like, so that we don't see.
we know these are the projects and priorities of the board. Can we agree on that? We can re-average
Sure.
with a new board member. It's kind of like drinking from a fire hose when you just get on the select board. Feel like, but. They could, whoever it may be.
Yeah,
Could done some scoring. We could take it up.
well. Could it just, can we just take Duncan's score out?
I would take his
Oh,
out
okay.
and put the new select board members
Oh,
scores
okay.
in. To re-average.
Okay, but for the first average, would we take Duncan's out and then at some point add in a new select board members scores in?
Good.
Depending on the previous ability of the new select board member, this is, like you said, this is gonna look like Greek to them. That isn't gonna amount to nothing. They don't have a clue, you know, most of this.
I think Peter asked a question about one of them. And added another one.
I added, housing under town administrator.
Which was under CEDS.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so. Personally, I would consider that. Under both.
Well, I don't think Duncan needs to be taken out at all. Leave it in and let this stand the way it is. Because Duncan knew what was going on.
When he did it.
And I would just leave it the way it is, Mr. Chairman.
I actually agree with those numbers more than anyone else's. So I kind of like that, they're saying.
He certainly spent more time working for the town than any of us.
Interesting.
I can re-rank it and we can get time periods on some of these things. Some of them are time sensitive, some of them aren't.
Mhm.
Do whatever you see fit.
I'm looking for input from the board here.
Just for ease of looking, if you can do a sort in descending order of averages.
You like descending, not ascending?
uh,
I'm an ascending person, but I can do descending. It's fine.
With the most important at the
Yeah.
top, that's what I'm
Yeah.
thinking. Yeah,
I could certainly do that.
you're saying the least
No.
important at the top?
I just like counting up. I don't know why.
You don't, well, I don't care either, a sort, you know?
So anyway you want to sort it.
Highest score at the top. That's what you
There
want.
you go.
Sure, yeah.
The board consider thinking of the priorities of putting like a merged one for the. You brought up a good point about housing being both. Like right now, it's one or the other, but is there like a way to make like a merged one that like a lot of them we end up working on together, whether we want to or not? And so that is there a way to do that to make this middle category? And maybe it's more one than the other, but at least there's that understanding of collaboration.
There's collaboration.
I don't even see how you do that, but I'm certainly open to thoughts.
Well, would you know, like, what would fall under both, or just you, or?
You know, Carl and I are gonna meet tomorrow anyways.
Mhm.
Maybe we could. Put stars next to the ones that we both work on, just so you know.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I think that's also part of it is.
Yeah.
Part of this exercise is the board developing projects and priorities for employees as well.
Yeah.
Feedback's great, but we also need to rank what is important for the board.
Oh,
So that way there's clear direction.
starts like you would do that, or you mean might be my favorite? I thought you.
No, I meant star, like, let's do asterisks, or we can do any shape you want. But just to say like, okay, highway capital plan, I actually work on that with Carl. You know,
Yeah.
just to make it, just bring awareness that it's not a single person
Yeah, it's
activity.
good, it's me.
And
So
doesn't-
would you only work on a B for both and then C for
Yeah.
Carl, or whatever?
It'll take like 2 minutes.
A highway capital plan doesn't
That was an
really
example.
seem like community and economic development.
That was a very specific example because it had nothing to do with Carl to prevent debate.
Yeah, I think that makes sense for you guys to go through it together.
But we as a board do need to provide directive.
Exactly, sure, so, but I think that's helpful. Information to know these two folks. See these as possible areas of collaboration. If we don't want them to collaborate on those, we can say so.
Yeah,
Uh,
like the housing and industrial park, like, we're constantly either, if he's in the office, we're talking and meeting, if we're not, we're texting to just. You know, so just keeping each other up to date, like those have like a lot of crossover. And then there's some that have like a little bit of crossover, but I think it would be important. For you guys to know that's even happening.
Yeah. I think it'd be helpful information, will we? So once we have the ascending or descending order,
We can do this.
will we have an opportunity to look at our ranked lists? And have a little conversation about it and see, do we really mean that,
Yeah,
you know?
Certainly, we can have that now, if you
Well,
want,
I
or if you
haven't
want
had a
in
chance
descending,
to-
that's fine.
To really digest it, but I just love to have an opportunity to have some conversation.
Mhm.
just, just to check in with each other and see. This is the way it all came out numerically. How do we feel about it in reality
Emotionally.
and emotionally? Yes.
One thing just to keep in mind. Collaboration is great. This projects and priorities list is not to add to our interim CEDS. We will be dealing with a new CEDS at some point.
Yeah,
So we just gotta keep that in mind. The way Carl moves and new CEDS may be a little bit different. So providing directive, I think, is important.
yeah.
And then if it flows, there's an ebb and a flow to it.
Right.
I guess Tom would reevaluate it with you for a second.
Or we could.
Or, yeah.
We almost reevaluate weekly, to be honest. It's like, oh, like, will you take it, will you take it, constant.
We're kind of.
We said we're keeping
Significantly.
Duncan's in. Is that?
He does have a lot of knowledge on the town, and he was the first one to fill it out.
We won't talk about it, it's the last. Oh, really?
Yeah,
Slide.
I just got thrown out of the bus.
he did, and he didn't even read the instructions. Next item, you want ascending order, longer conversation, a month from now. Descending order. Okay,
However the mood strikes you at the moment.
wonderful. Industrial park next steps. Next item on the agenda. Which I hate. I know this is double-sided. I guess there is no further update other than Carl's report on the industrial park. Standing item. Next up, housing opportunities in Johnson. Tom?
Sorry, I was looking at this view. Very exciting. This is housing opportunities in Johnson. So, the town was contacted by a construction company to do construction. And that led to a meeting to just understand, like, why are we being contacted by a private contractor? And so they work with Downstreet and Barry, and they told us about an opportunity that if the town has land that we could put out a letter of intent or a request for proposals. I think I sent them to your email a couple weeks ago. What the town of Barry did. And then so a private company, not them, but they're helping us with the process, would then be able to put a bid in and would build some housing, whether it's single family or meets one of the available grants that we're coming up to look at with the CDA or the Community Development Block Grant. And then eventually over time, once the funding is received, it would pass over to Downstreet. And so in their conversation, Downstreet had suggested interest in making a big project in Johnson, since we lost over 30 units with the flood, that we should, Downstreet was interested in starting something here. This is very preliminary, but it just kind of opened up our eyes to the opportunities, that there's a lot of there is more than just there's no longer just affordable or low income housing, but there's lots of types of housing, and there's funding for 110% of mean area income, or 80% or 60%. And right now we have funding opportunities that were announced that are 80%, which myself and my home is less than 80%. But which just tells you these are nurses, these are teachers, these are town employees. They're just, it's not the same stigma that carried on from the low income housing days, but these are just regular old residents looking for housing, and that's the type of housing we're looking at building. And just, this is just pretty quick. I think we had 2 meetings, Peter and Adrian were there. And so we started to look at land that the town owned, and started to look at land just availability, which is kind of tight right now in the village. We're trapped in by a floodplain. But I think I think what became very clear is that we have a need for housing in Johnson. And if the town can play a role in the developing of that housing, what would that be and how would we assist, right? And I think this is all developing, but I think since those meetings are happening, we should discuss it as a full board instead of just having two people at the meetings. And so that's where we are. And so part of the community development block grant has three categories. One is specifically housing. One is economic development and the other is infrastructure. But it's been pretty clear that that infrastructure should be used for housing. Or for the addition of new housing units. And so so I found a whole bunch of stuff. This actually took a long time, but I was looking back over Randall's reports and he's been talking about housing for a while. The treasurer came and talked about housing, but our board really hasn't. We've never really picked it up and ran with it. What's your direction, I guess? How do you guys want to run this? Do you want to support it? Do you want to pass it off? Do you want Carl or I to take it on? But the time is now. We're going to use any of this funding.
How quickly can the planning commission look at it?
I should
Like planning for housing.
We should be.
You did talk about that in your report a little bit.
Yep. We should. I don't know anything about this program. Tom told me about it tonight. Happy to have planning commission weigh in on it. So we can.
Yeah, I mean, the timeline's tight. We should certainly, if there's another meeting, we'll send you an invite, but I think it's going to be a September application date for a project. And
So application with due running the.
no, that's like separate. That would be like after the fact. I think that was just hey, if the town has land and you want housing, we have a means to get you housing quick, faster than the designated housing authority. In this case, is Downstreet. Downstreet assumed Lemoyle Housing Partnership. Lemoyle Housing Partnership was the designated housing authority for the area. I'm not sure if housing authority is the right word, but I think the idea. So Downstreet now assumed them, so then they're now ours. So if there's any federal funding that's going to pass through the region, it's going to be administered by Downstreet or I think Evernorth is another one to help with the project here.
So is that the first question? Do we want the federal funding or do we go as private route?
I think they happen at they're A and B, apples and oranges. The private route was the catalyst for a conversation about housing. The announcement for the community development block grant is like, okay, this helps with housing. How does this look? And so some discussions are, maybe we work with the regional planning commission. And so the town if there's something the town can do to help housing, but like that hasn't been defined yet, but there also hasn't been a direction from the board. I'm like, if the board wants us to, Carl or I or both, to go look into this, we'll come back with like, hey, the town can provide X, Y, or Z, or the town can do A, B, C. And that might involve a request for proposals for a private company, or maybe it's just providing another piece of this.
Okay, so sorry to take a time. So the community development block grant, you already have one?
There's an application due in September.
Okay. Do we not? Don't we have one already? Do we not?
No, it's like per project. The last one we had was the Jenna's Promise, a coffee shop, which I did. And so this is specific for disaster recovery, CDBG-DR funding. And I think, it's been targeted to 58 million has been targeted to Lemoyle and Washington counties. And there's a reason they came to Johnson to announce that award. Like the state is thinking of us and we should, if there's an opportunity to do something in one of those three categories, this is probably our last round of funding for disaster relief from the 2023 fund.
Well, we don't really have descending order. We did just all agree the CEDS priority. Or 2 items ago for housing. Good starting point, I think the planning commission. Both local and regional would be good resources.
We don't have a lot of time. And I think we just need to make clear whether the select board wants to move in the direction of doing something about housing in our community.
Yeah, I feel like we just have to be supportive of it. We don't really need to do much, like LCP is gonna do a lot of it. Tom and Carl wouldn't have to put a lot of resources into it. It's kind of just like, we support it. And
Yeah.
we need housing, like, it's not really something up for debate, if like,
Downstreet's gonna do the housing, you know,
yeah.
and whether that's a private company or Downstreet, it ends up being Downstreet and a taxpayer,
Mhm.
you know? Or like, the only reason, I think why the town, with the boards, with the, you know, allowance, if just having somebody from the town in the meeting, then you find out how does the town, maybe it becomes a funding pass through, like we have with other grants, maybe it becomes an opportunity to extend infrastructure, maybe it's an opportunity where we have to like hold on to the land until funding sources come in to go to Down Street, like, we don't know what that is yet.
Yeah.
But it's also too much to jump ahead of the board either, so now this is like, we've been having this meetings, Peter and Adrian have been there. So now, if you guys, let's open the conversation up and make it happen, or maybe we skip this round of funding, I think that.
Yeah. Do you think we need housing?
I'm all for housing with private ownership,
Single owner.
you know, it's.
Single family home.
Single family home, even on a postage stamp, at least they have a home. And they're not stuck in an apartment for the rest of their life.
Down Street does have a new program that they're just getting into, where it's owner occupied housing, that's the new term for single family home. Owner occupied, and some of that might look like condos, but owner occupied. And the Home Act, which went into effect July 1st of last year, allows for 0.2 acre subdivisions. This, regardless of any local zoning, as long as you have city water or and sewer. And so that's really the focus of development, is how do you get high density housing within distance of the village, where you can have owner occupied, I think is clearly the best for the local economy. You know, I used to work for Habitat for Humanity, so that's near and dear to my heart, but that has been discussed, is like, how do you fit in owner occupied within the density of the village, within that.
Mhm.
I'm not into 30, 40 unit apartment housing. Single family occupancies for me.
And when we talked to DEW construction, they said like duplexes and triplexes, some
Yeah.
single family, an apartment building, like they like said like mixed. That would be worthwhile for them to be a partner with us.
And Downey's talked about, Downstreet, talked about equity share, so say an income at 80% is eligible for a mortgage of 200,000, but it costs 330,000 to build. That Downstreet would hold, and this is part I'm unclear, so don't quote me on this, where like they would get the mortgage for 200,000, the single family, but then the equity, that extra 130,000 is either a lien on the property for any transfer, or it's like 30% of it can only be sold at, 60% of fair market value. That equity share, I'm not sure what that means, but that's a new program that allows federal funding to be used for owner occupied housing. And that's new and coming. I don't have a lot of details on that, but that's a program that Downstreet wants to implement.
My experience with housing in communities in the past, I really have come to believe that there's no single answer for what a community needs housing wise. But a number of different approaches. So Uh. Clearly, you know, one of the things that. That we're lacking, we do have rental units, but one of the things we're lacking. Is the possibility of. Home ownership. But I think it's important to be open to the fact that there is no single magic solution to a community's housing shortage. That it's a variety of different things. And you know, putting all your eggs in one basket may satisfy one niche, but not another. Well, I just want to be open to.
And I think we shouldn't get hung up on like the single, the duplex, like the apartment buildings, like. I think we're just kind of like saying we're for housing and we're for putting in infrastructure, we're for supporting LCPC and. So I don't know, we shouldn't get hung up on that, because if whatever we do doesn't have enough single family homes, then we try to get more housing somewhere else that has single family home lots and stuff, or, you know. This at least is a stepping stone to getting us housing in general, which we don't have enough of.
Anything further?
I just don't want Johnson to turn into a Northville.
Certainly increase costs. If that happens, but such is life. I'm for housing, I guess, if there's. Kind of thought behind it. I do hear the word infrastructure thrown around a lot tonight. And I feel like it's a very vague term. What infrastructure are we throwing in? I'm open to it, I just. Oh, let's put. Sewer and water up to. Johnson Farm and Garden, I don't. I'm just throwing random things out there, right? Still fully supportive of it, it's just a lot. Cleaner in my mind if that's the infrastructure. For the village to apply for that grant, because. Our grant application will be contingent upon them taking ownership of it anyways. So we skip that extra paperwork. If it's infrastructure that we don't own, if it's roads and bridges. We do that, just some sort of a plan for. Cost benefit analysis, a quick thing, and. Should be pretty easy. Open to housing.
I think that's what we need is.
I'm with Mike. But I've been pretty clear on that for. Years. But I'm not close-minded. To mixtures.
I mean, that's what we're talking about, right?
You're okay.
Potential, I mean, you know,
The potential, yeah.
yeah, over time.
So let's start with. The low income apartment building, and then there's potential for mixed use.
No, I don't think that.
That was never discussed, yeah. Would you be okay for me to keep? Pursuing, you know, I mean, I guess I'm not pursuing, but. Keeping the town's foot in the door in these conversations.
We always have to have our foot in the door, every place we can.
I mean, that's really all it is, and then if there's an opportunity to help, it's gonna come before you to say yes or no anyways.
Yeah, right.
But we don't even know what those opportunities are to assist right now.
I personally think the being kept in the door is on the CEDS, community and economic development, community development, housing.
Here's the kicker. He's not here every day, and I'm not saying it should be me, maybe it's a board member, maybe it's Paul, it doesn't matter, but he's not here every day. He's an intern, we just said that you don't wanna put more stuff on his plate, so we're gonna have to wait a month. You know, to get a new person in here. So, or more to get a permanent CDS where the application's already gonna be over. We could have up to $10 million for Johnson. They came through Johnson to announce this. $10 million per municipal entity. If LC2 does it, it could be $10 million per entity and to do a joint application. This is a lot of money that the town could use to help with disaster relief. And I don't know that there's enough time. I don't know. I mean, we can ask Carl when he comes back up. Or maybe, I maybe just went home, but. It should be somebody who's available.
How full is your plate with Holmes Meadow, BEC Stormwater Project at FEMA bias, cause that was ranked 9.2.
Yep. And all of those are like smoking.
Cause I mean, this seems more time sensitive than your other top ranked.
Holmes Meadow, yeah, I mean, we're waiting on archaeology to do their final report. BEC Co-op is gonna have an after Labor Day start construction date. You know, like. We're moving, you know, everything's going well with those projects. But it doesn't, again, I'm not advocating for myself, I'm just advocating for somebody who's in town every day who can like go to these 12 o'clock meetings and just make sure they have a foot in the door.
Well, I'm in favor of you working on it.
So mine,
Mike,
Yeah,
next up, letter of support for LCPC CDBG. Which I believe we received.
that's it, right?
Does it have the right spelling? Yes, it does. Does that have
Yours?
Michael's name?
That has a long spelling.
Michael.
I have the right spelling over here.
Oh,
Oh, you have.
Oh, you have the correct one.
Yeah, I have it.
Okay,
Okay. So. I'm gonna make a motion. Can it be this wording?
I think so, yeah.
All right. That the select board. Shares with relevant parties to whom this may concern. The town of Johnson formally supports the Lamoille County Planning Commission in working towards a combined application. For CDBG -DR and EDA funding for economic development, infrastructure and housing. This includes working with partners for a combined project to provide the most benefit for the community and town of Johnson.
is there a motion on the floor in a second, further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Next up, joint meeting with the village. Anything you have that you'd like to talk about, Tom?
We have a few things. So we talked about trash is an ongoing one. It would be nice just to like put it to bed, just nail it down, put it to bed. We also have joint maintenance. Every time something comes up, it would nice to delegate. Who's gonna make the decision? Who's gonna make the call? The water heater's broken. Is it Tom? Is it Eric? Do we have to have a joint meeting? I don't think it matters. All of those are great solutions. But it should be like clear. So that way that, you know, sometimes people come to me and say, oh, Tom, this broke. And I say, oh, okay, like. I'll be in tomorrow. And they're like, oh, okay. Then they go to Eric, Tom, Eric, this broke. You know, it'd just be nice to like. Who's just say, it would be very clear to say, if anything under $10,000, the town fixes the municipal building. And the village agrees to reimburse 50%, or maybe it's $5,000, maybe it's an arbitrary number right now, but. It would just be really clear, so then the town puts the research in on how to fix it. Best alternatives, and that way you're not investing time for nothing.
Do we really need a joint meeting to propose that concept?
I think they would have to sign on to it.
I mean, I kind of think that, well, I have 2 agenda items I would like to add. One being just like relations with the village trustees in general. Because we don't have great relations with them, in my opinion. So I don't know if we need an open meeting to discuss this, because there seems to be incidences that happen repeatedly. And it's getting worse in my eyes. So I think that'd be something to discuss. I think it'd also be nice if, maybe Tom, if you could reach out to all committee chairs and see if they have anything they want to bring before both boards, not have to come to 2 meetings. I think that'd be a good use of time. That's what I'd like to add.
Anybody else have anything they'd like to add to a joint meeting topic?
Clock tower update,
Yep, that was in your packet.
and then I think we probably owe them an update on the heating system. Heating, cooling.
Is that something just be emailed out? We don't need to be in a joint meeting with 10 board members.
You already mentioned the server.
That's a good server IT.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one could be a good one.
It's good.
And this kind of falls under like relations, but I guess I wanna hear from both boards. Do we wanna keep dividing things like the server, like other things? Do we wanna keep splitting and dividing things? Or not? So,
I mean, I think I would love to make the point that we're already divided. We're already 2 sovereign municipalities, but we have an agreement to have joint stuff. And if the more that agreement falls apart, the more money the residents spend.
mhm,
But how do we, I think by just saying, by creating good fences and good neighbors and
Yeah.
better MOUs, we can probably keep things going, you know, I mean, maybe there's an ultimate goal down the road, I don't know, but
yeah,
we can keep things going at the most cost effective rate if we come to the table and make clean agreements that are enforceable over years and not just decision to decision.
yeah, and I think the MOU is like pretty specific, and I wonder if we should try to be more broad in like the categories of things that. Okay, we're always gonna share IT, for instance, or we're all, like, we're always gonna share. Municipal.
Yeah.
I don't know, like more broad.
We have this like unwritten rule that works really good with. The town does the oil, the village does the propane, and like, we don't question what happens with the propane, we just accept whatever. They do, and they don't accept what we do with the oil, they just accept it, and like. If they getting that formalized and it's like, okay, the town will always be responsible for computers in the server. Even if it's like Eric's village only computer, the town buys it and then
Mhm.
the village pays us back and then. The village is always responsible for IT services, you know, something like very simple and I like that idea, but it just takes all the gray area out.
Well, I guess I meant like broad with examples, just because we can't think of every little thing.
Yeah,
That's what I'm trying to like,
I see.
yeah.
They also can't make anything that's really binding. You know,
Yeah, I mean, what happens when either of us break an MOU?
maybe you get the stern text message. Well, I mean, you're talking over time,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And there's nothing that this board can do. That binds next year's board, but the most binding thing you could do is pass an ordinance, right? But even that has a process for repeal.
Mhm.
Even, the IT contracts,
Yeah,
everything's structured in a 1-year term to automatically renew upon no notice of cancellation.
yeah.
That way we're not binding a future board, which we technically can't do anyways.
Oh, did you put trash on them?
I did.
Okay.
We got an organ, I'm sorry, a memorandum of understanding. Isn't. Doesn't have to be binding on another board, right?
What are the consequences if you break it?
I mean, if another board doesn't like something in the memorandum of understanding, then it can ask to change it.
Yeah, certainly. At the bottom of the current MOU, it says. Without prior blah, 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 this shall automatically renew January 1st, so it's just an automatic renewal of 1 year. But it also says this can be terminated by either the town or the village at any time.
Can't like write in like fining each other for breaking that MOU.
Like what?
Fining each other.
Yeah, good luck with that.
I mean, I think. Part of something I would like to do is like quarterly, like. If we could have a meeting in May that's like predetermined, okay, we don't have a joint meeting scheduled.
Yeah,
And so we just like wait till there's a problem and then it's like, there's a problem.
yeah,
And we're meeting over a problem rather than meeting over agreements.
right.
And so if we always just said, okay, we're gonna meet. The first trustee meeting in May, you know, and maybe I think it's open, or they come to our special meeting, but it'd be nice for one of us not to go to an extra meeting.
Yeah,
And just have a joint meeting right then where we have new board members. And just agree on a joint meeting schedule and maybe renewing the MOU or modifying, and that's the only agenda item. Just so it's like, at least you have a starting point.
well, we do a schedule next meeting until then,
Yeah,
also.
Sure. At one point, every joint meeting we met, we selected another date for another joint meeting. Every time.
that's great.
I don't know if it led to efficiencies. You know, a lot of these things can just be handled with emails in between municipalities.
I don't think so.
Yeah, it's not
I
going.
don't
well
think
right
it's
now.
going well.
Maybe it's content.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah.
it's content. But we can certainly have a joint meeting to discuss all things board related. It will probably need to be on a Wednesday, I think.
I did reach out to the village, and I haven't heard back. I asked about items they were interested in. And nobody replied. So
Items they're interested in.
for a joint meeting,
So. Maybe we set it and they show up if they want.
I can reach out.
Okay.
Anything else? I think you kind of covered the joint property MOU review.
Well,
Part
even,
of your
I don't get this. It says it was never signed.
It was,
I mean, this was put together. It says it's gonna start January 1st, 2023, so it's obvious that was put together in 2022.
you know.
But with the agreement of both parties,
Mhm.
because this is a combined document. So what's the reason it was never signed?
You know, I have an old email that I forwarded to Tom and Adrian. Previous administrator couldn't find a signed copy. And even before that, I think there was an email from the village manager saying that they had a copy that the village chair signed. But not that the select board signed, but either way, whether there is a signed copy in hand or not, I believe there should be process wise. There's minutes that very clearly state that that's what was approved.
So there's no reason to change it. It looks good to me. Unless we're gonna.
I think
add
Tom's
that in.
proposing changing it.
I think just providing clarity.
Looks pretty clear to me.
I think my biggest struggle is maintenance. Like, you know, a prime example that just happened is every year annually, the village sweeps the sidewalk with their skid steer and broom. But this year, they didn't do it because there was construction and then it turned into a thing when they did it. They like waited till the construction was ready. So when they swept it, it turned into a big thing, right? Or, you know, the hot water heater is another thing, or the review of construction projects for joint properties, you know, it'd just be like, really, it'd be nice to have things clean. Rather than feeling like you're going down the right track and then being, you know, sidetracked, it would be really great just to know, okay, Eric's taking care of that, how can I support you? Or, this is what I'm thinking, Eric. Do you have any insight? It's a lot easier to do it that way, but right now, it's like hot potato, like, oh, you do it, you do it, you do it, yeah. It's like, it's not a very functional environment.
Come up with some proposed language we can review before the joint meeting.
Okay.
It's gonna be interesting, the clock tower update.
I'm sure. Are we good with that, Tom?
Yep.
Water at the skate park, anything you wanna add? We are behind, so
Just that repairs were made to the hydrant, we're waiting, and there was damage to the plunger inside. We're hoping that fix it, but I have to meet with. I think I'm gonna do it Friday, meet with the village to turn the water on and see, make the adjustments and see if it's leaking, so. And if it is leaking, then we'll have to think about plan B of either A, replacing or relocating.
You've got here one person. To do the odd job. They have to fix it, how deep they're gonna have to go.
Well, it's been fixed in place without digging it up. And we just have to turn the water on.
Did you have anything to say about it, Casey?
Well, I guess we have to wait, we'll wait till Friday to see if the fix
Yeah.
worked.
When I talk to them, it looks like the leak is slow. And so I'm trying to, I didn't get an official answer, but I said, look, we have a camp on August 1st was the date. I don't know what the date is.
Like 9th, yeah.
Yeah. I said, we have a camp August 1st, but
Yeah.
they might agree to opening, if we don't have it fixed by then. Opening it up during the camp and just accept, it's a slow leak, it's not major, but it is leaking.
Mhm.
And just accept the leak and then close it up after camp.
Right,
So I think, thinking about you and your timeline, we have to do this. Do something, right?
right, right.
Yeah,
What's a gray area is, you had mentioned in an email something about, well, if it is kaput, let's think about a different location, and
yeah,
we've said, can we not have another, can we get a curb stop and not have to rely on yard hydrant and da. And we'd have to make a plan for that. And
I mean, I think. That's on some pretty ratty infrastructure.
that's what,
It's on old infrastructure from when it was a.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty bad, yeah.
It's
Outdated and it's.
and so I think if we're gonna dig it up. It might be. It's really convenient that the valve, I think we should start. At a place, I think you're right, put in a curb stop. And then make your dreams come true wherever it's gonna go, but. I don't think we keep scabbing on the scabs, I think it's time to just, okay, it's time to do something right. We're gonna.
and also, and I had a quick conversation. In the office the other day about that very thing about an alternative, and you'd say, well, but if you have a curb, there's technical things about if you do something different. And the solution to that is for him to work with Howard. Cause they can do the specifics.
I think
I'll
once we
figure it
know,
out. Yeah,
once we know an alternative is
Yeah.
needed, right, then we'll sit down, we'll look at the budget, we'll say, this is what you got. You found an excavator with a price that's very affordable, that's great.
well,
Yeah, so I think,
how long do you need to use them?
so then I think based on whatever design you want, matching the budget, I think you guys have a great. Now you can actually make something happen, let's just hope it's fast.
Right, well, excavation is part one, and then whatever the fixture is. Putting the fixture together, like, the one at Old Mill Park was great, we can duplicate that. Setup. But it's gonna take some discussion and working specific that. So as long as, I guess I'm hearing two things, camp will work one way or another. We may not be able to figure out a new plan before then, but we'll make it happen.
I think,
As long as we have water at camp, that's really the immediate issue.
Sounds like we're good for camp.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and they could even turn it off every night, but that's a lot of false alarms and lots of alarms. But anyway, but yeah, that's.
So
So
the-
two plans,
Yeah, I think,
Yeah.
let's hope the fix work. If it
Yeah.
doesn't work, we'll lay out all the problems, right? And just say, okay, Lord, here's what's wrong. We're gonna do something, we have to start at a point of known connection that's not leaking.
Right, right, and it would be wonderful, it could be somewhere where the garden could get at it too, but,
easier.
you know.
Yeah,
How much does the village charge every time they turn in water on?
we get like a special rate for like a seasonal, it's like up to 2,000 gallons a month, it's a flat fee.
No, I'm talking about when they go turn it on and turn it off.
I think it's part of a work order, I think they don't charge anything, it's the same as if,
I don't think they do.
yeah,
Oh,
it's,
good.
yeah, I think it's the same as if Peter had a problem at his house, they'd come check it out for free.
We don't bug them very often.
No, I mean, I gotta put a work order in and like fit their schedule and line it up, but they're actually really helpful. Yeah,
Good.
not actually, they are helpful, sorry, I said that, just correct that.
In the minutes.
Good choice of words.
Right, so I guess I'll hear from you after Friday.
Yeah, that's good, why don't you give me a call Friday afternoon, or I'll try to remember to call you, but I think I might even let you know when it's gonna happen.
But whatever,
Right,
thank you,
Okay,
thanks.
Adrian, speed and stop sign. Ordinance review update.
So I was working on a traffic ordinance, kind of combining speed and stop sign ordinance together and adding anything else that would typically fall under other traffic ordinances.
I just want to say thanks for what you guys do.
Thank you, Paul.
Heavy lift.
By the way, this has been put on all night.
Continue, Adrian.
Yeah, so I was working on combining speed and stop sign ordinances, and in the process of doing that, I saw that if you become a downtown designation, then you can lower some speed limits, on like School Street, for instance, or Railroad Street, for instance, if we wanted to. But in the process of looking into downtown designation, I talked to Seth Jensen at LCPC, and he said that at the end of the year, downtown designations and village designations are gonna combine into the same thing. And when that process is going on, you can expand your boundary, for when that's happening. So, I made a draft, but I'm wondering if I should just like hold off till the end of the year before I like send that out to you guys. And until I like propose new speeds after we increase the boundary of the village or whatever it's gonna be.
I'm fine with waiting. You're proposing new speeds based on
School zone and like,
school zone. Okay.
yeah. And just in general, if they wanted to change it, like, I don't know if you put like effort, like for us all signing it and doing that whole process, if we might change the speeds in like 5 months or something.
Are you okay with that, Peter? This is,
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I mean, just, I know speed just like one piece of it, but,
I was gonna say enforcement. We can
Yeah.
make all the speed limits
right.
whatever we want.
Yeah.
But thank you for the update. I'm okay with waiting. Peter's okay with holding off a little bit. I'm not hearing any
No,
objections.
no problem for me.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah. I kept looking for it in my packet, nothing in there.
School
Yeah.
Street,
I get it mixed up with another one of them.
School Street, Railroad Street traffic. Tom has a write-up. Is there anything you'd like to add, Peter?
No,
I would like to add that when we were talking about School Street, I said. We get complaints about Railroad Street every year. And we gotta complain about it.
how about that? Yeah. I'm surprised it took this long. So I think last we talked about it, I was gonna look into, what paving companies would cost to install speed systems. And, I don't have anything new to report.
Okay. We can keep it on the agenda though for a planning meeting.
Okay.
People with that.
You know, I am grateful to the sheriff for bringing over the speed radar. And, I think I can say, as predicted. You know, good, honest people, seem to pay attention, slow down. You know, the others are as bad as ever,
They're as bad as ever,
if not worse.
they try to go faster so I can see the number on there.
Oh, yeah, probably that's part of it, yeah, yeah, I stood in the middle of the street at pizza the other night and. Insisted that a car slow down, and I probably shouldn't do that too often because, you know, I'll find, sugar in my gas tank. But,
Or a bump.
I hope not.
You know, we can't, I don't see the possibility of enforcement. That's the only thing that's gonna stop those people.
Okay.
So I was looking into, cameras for capturing speed. And how that's illegal or not possible in doing in Vermont through the state. And I wanted to reach out to Dan Noyes, our representative, about that, and kind of like just told him the problems we're having with us controlling speeding and stuff. And he said similar problems exist in other village centers where current laws limit local traffic control options. He noted that the Act 181 future land use mapping process could help if state agencies start recognizing these mapped areas. He's working with LCPC to push for legislation giving towns more control over speed enforcement and plans to speak with the sheriff for his input. He's decided to not pursue speed camera legislation and is exploring less punitive solutions instead.
Okay. Well, thank you. Anything further? Next topic? Next topic? What's the board think?
Traffic study,
Huh?
next topic, traffic study.
Yeah.
Does that mean you're not gonna sign it, Evan?
What does the board think about the staffing study RFP? We could blow it up. A month ago, I had offered to try my hand working with Duncan for something that the board could look at. And then it should be in the printout. It's not in the packet that went out this weekend.
Yeah, I got it.
Then to print out, run in.
Yeah, it's supposed
I
to.
think it looks good.
You guys don't have anything you want to add? Take away?
Looks
You
really
really get
good,
posted?
that's good.
Yeah, he's good to post.
When would we like the response date by?
Oh, month from now, maybe.
Yeah. Sure.
So August. Maybe if we have responses due by the Friday before our meeting. Before our planning meeting.
Yeah. Do we think that people will see this RFP? Or like, should we send it to specific agencies or something? Try to get more bids?
I know there are specific individuals that would be interested in it.
Okay,
This company, Municipal Solutions, Municipal Resources Inc. VLCT could even, I think, offer
Mhm.
consultant services.
So. Right.
Do we wanna send them out to independent places at all?
I assume Tom will post it, you can just. Send the link to
Yeah,
whatever, if it's on VLCTs. I'll get the date in there, PDF it. Send it. Along with the community profile, which you all think is sufficient. Hearing no feedback, we're moving on to the next one, old business. Anything on that?
I'm gonna ask again. Are you gonna sign that?
It's very vague for me to sign, but it has the majority of the board signatures.
Is a glaring omission. What's the problem? I don't understand.
I think we moved on from that topic, Peter.
We did not.
It was. Way up here.
I wanna know why you will not
If
proceed with investigations of housing opportunities in this
I
town.
told you I was open to plans, this seems extremely vague. I need some details. I asked about infrastructure and the word being thrown around. There was no details on that.
it could mean water and sewer,
Could mean roads,
right?
What's that?
but until the until we tell LCPC move forth and let us know.
Which they can move forward.
But that means so I think what Peter's asking is a clear question, are you signing it or?
We had a meeting with the college here
Well, can we
where,
understand that there was executive session content? That's,
where things were said that had the college leave here feeling like they cannot work with the town. We're trying to save that opportunity. All we need is for the board to say that we support LCPC in that endeavor. That's it.
would it be okay with you if I talked with Seth Jensen about it a little bit? To get some details? And then sign it? Just because I'm curious? I talked with Tasha.
I have no idea why it is so hard for you not to see the opportunity we have and support it. I don't understand, so move on.
Okay. Anything on old business?
No,
I think Paul asked about the town sewer service area. I'm assuming he'll be reaching out to you or I. Something,
what?
follow up wouldn't be bad. TSSA,
Oh,
town sewer service area,
okay.
it's really riveting stuff. Next item up, executive session. Would entertain a motion.
We need a new letter.
Would you like to make the motion?
Yeah.
Ending the meeting.
Let me, I move we go into executive session for an employee evaluation under one VSA 313A3. Just the select board and would not the town administrator.
I don't foresee any motion coming out of executive session, Donna. So I can text you when we come out.
Okay.
Word it. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Right.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it. The board is entering executive session at 9:44.